and Howard Bank, as well as at Royal Farms, real fresh, real fast, and the Maryland Jockey Club, where they are racing at Laurel this weekend. The entries will be in our WNST.net morning newspaper, delivered digitally at 7 a.m. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness. This guy is a returning champion, defending champion, two-time Super Bowl champion, way back when those 49ers were getting it done. I believe I made your acquaintance out there in San Francisco.
We did.
And the beautiful city by the bay. Jim Stuckey joins us, returning here to promote Nutrisystem, but more than that, talk some football out here.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's so good to be back. Good to see you again. We met in San Francisco when we had the Super Bowl out there a couple years ago. I guess.
And one thing never changes. It's either Manning or Brady, and it ain't Manning in the league anymore.
No, I know.
It really is incredible what Tom Brady's done here. Back in your generation of Montana and Steve Young, usually this sort of a run would require at least 2 or 3 quarterbacks, right?
Oh, I know. I tell you, it's my hat's off to New England, Robert Kraft, and what he's done with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. I mean, Tom's playing, his 8th one? And going for number 6. So I mean,
it's been a couple of them, and you feel like your life was complete. Everybody should get one. It's like it's like Willy Wonka, right? Like an everlasting gobstopper. One Super Bowl is enough for any grown-up.
Oh,
right?
I know. But I'm up here with Dan Marino, and for the last 10, 12 years, we've been doing Nutrisystem. Danny, I played against him, and in our second one, you always thought he'd get back, and look at what a great quarterback he has been, and one of the most prolific in the league. Never got back.
You give him a hard time? Does he get angry with
the
jewelry?
He said, Stuck, I'd give you my Hall of Fame ring for the one ring you stole from me. But it's good.
Were you really overweight? I mean, give me the Nutrisystem story
for
you. I see a lot of players and a lot of linemen. I mean, Tony Baselli's sitting right here, and a lot of these fellas have trimmed up. John Ogden's lost some weight in Baltimore. A lot of them, but Matt Burke looks like $1 million, right?
Oh, yeah.
Looks like he's never played. And some line, and then, I remember one year, unfortunate, but I saw Refrigerator Perry come through. And he looked like he got an even, and I think when you're a big guy and playing football, you can go either way,
I think you can, too. When I was 6'5", came out of Clemson, got drafted, played 7 years, but and I played anywhere from 255 to 275.
That's a big man in 1985.
Yeah, right? And on the line, and I'm 6'5". Once you get through playing, I think it was easier for me to eat than to work out, and you were burning all these calories. I got about 1 apple pie short of 300 pounds, and I said, it's enough.
What do you weigh right now? You look like a normal man. 228.
228. And I've been this for, 4 years now.
70 pounds down.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel great.
Now you still do every day. What worked for you 4 years ago is working now.
Well, you know what? And I do a lot of maintenance, and I'm an itinerary guy. I think most guys are. But I'll do the shakes. They've got the new shakes. And I'll do maybe one meal, probably 3 times a week. And but I do that. But I learned portion control. I learned everything from Nutrisystem. And I think most guys, we need something where you're not measuring some. I don't want a cup. I don't want to have to measure dressing. I don't want to have to measure anything. I want something that I know that'll work. And it's about portion control, and it's prepackaged. And the food's good. I mean, this isn't any rocket science deal. They went after the men's diet industry because nobody had ever been in it, and put themselves in a position to control it now. So it's really good. They keep improving on their product all the time, and it's been a great relationship for myself and Dan Marino. He's kept his weight off, so we've done that. So and it works. It absolutely works.
Jim Stuckey, 2-time Super Bowl champion from the 49ers, joining us here on the eve of Super Bowl 52. We talk so much about Brady. The other side of this thing is there's a kid here trying to climb the mountain. And, you know what it was like to go into battle with a Montana,
Oh, yeah.
And you got that guy. A lot of confidence on the Patriots side. We were over with the Eagles today. That defense there is going to be formidable, and I think they're going to challenge Tom Brady.
Absolutely. You know what? And the Eagles, I like the Eagles. I would like to see them win. And I think they can. If you get this far, and they remind me a lot of us when we were in our first Super Bowl in Super Bowl 16, we had a lot of young guys, and look how far that they have come. And what I like out of Nick Foles and what the Philadelphia whole team that I like is when Carson Wentz went down, they rallied around Nick Foles. They rallied around each other, and they said, look, we can damn do this. We're still good. And we have one guy that was taking us to the promised land. Well, we've got another guy now. And Nick Foles didn't chop liver or anything. He's very formidable quarterback. They've got all the other weapons that they were using. The defense is really, really good, and they swarm to the ball. So I do not ever count Philadelphia out. And their coach, and I'm telling you, it's us against the world. Not a damn soul here thinks we can win this game.
He's been saying that
Brady and them.
The dog faces.
So, and Bill Walsh, he used to be, I mean, we come in somewhere, it's us against the world. Not a damn soul here likes us.
That's where Billick got it from. That's where Billick got it from.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, you've got to have that mentality. And I think they have such a disciplined defense, too, that they can do their job. If they just do their job and not to try to do more than what your job is, where you start making mistakes trying to cover for other people, I think that's where you really get into trouble. So I'm looking for a great game. I think it'll be a little bit high scoring, and I'm looking for Nick Foles to have a good game.
Well, you mentioned that defense. I keep coming back to that defensive line, and not only is it good, it's very deep.
Yes.
You being a former defensive lineman, I mean, how valuable – it's stating the obvious because you're always going to rotate a couple guys in to try to keep people fresh, but when you have 6 or 7 guys that you can trust to the point where you look at their snap counts over the course of the year, most of them none of them have played more than about 70% of the snaps.
Yes.
How valuable is that, especially you're talking this late in the season playing in a Super Bowl like you did?
It's extremely late in the season, and to have that type of depth that they have, and you can rotate those guys in, and you're not losing a beat anywhere. You're not losing talent-wise anywhere. So, I mean, it's big, especially this late in the season, because guys are beat up, you're dinged up, you're banged up, you're tired. I mean, you've gone through a long, grueling season. You've gone through preseason. You've gone through training camp, and you might have a little aches and pains about you. So when you can get these guys in and not lose a step by having one of them, they've got some stallions on that defensive line.
You have to be fresh enough to fall on that game-clinching
fumble
recovery, right?
That's right.
Everyone forgets about that. Dwight Clark with the catch. This man, the recovered fumble.
You know, I was playing golf, and people say, Stucky, Dwight caught the catch and everything. What'd you do? I said, I didn't do anything except recover a fumble that changed the damn face of a franchise.
That's all. That's
it. That's it.
It's fun being an ex-49er.
Oh, it's great being an ex-49er.
Well, things are a little better now. You make a little deal.
Garoppolo looks good.
Oh, yeah, Garoppolo looks good. You know what? And that's amazing, like Carson Wentz did. And but Garoppolo came in, and he changed us. Winning breeds winning. And if you get a guy that comes from an organization and how they do things like that in New England, he comes out there, and we win 6 in a row. It was incredible. So we're going to be there.
Jim Stuckey, 2-time Super Bowl champion with the San Francisco 49ers. Here on behalf of Nutrisystem, I think you'll leave me a mug here. Just go out to Nutrisystem.com, correct? Everything's out there?
Nutrisystem.com. Just click on. I mean, all new stuff sent straight to your house free.
Appreciate you stopping by and visiting with us and showing off all that 49ers. We'll keep taunting Marino. He's from Pittsburgh.
I do.
We are WNST.net, AM 1570. All of our extended coverage brought to you by our friends at Howard Bank. They're with us. They are a presenting sponsor, as well as Royal Farms. Real fresh, real fast. Download that app and get the fried chicken working for you. Get yourself some money off the gas. Gas up. Use the Royal Farms app and the ROFO love for everybody back in Baltimore. It's like 5 below out here. I'm moisturizing, trying to figure it all out. The buyatoyota.com audio vault is there for you 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device. By downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from wherever you happen to be. The morning newspaper ships to your email inbox each and every morning at 7 a.m. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. Last but never least, breaking news. Luke will have it first. We got the Bisciotti press conference, all that stuff happening. Happens all courtesy of our friends at Coons Ford Security Boulevard. Dennis Kolatzis is here this Thursday, next Thursday, every Thursday, driving you home. And we are in Minnesota. At some point, I will thaw out. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports. Nice. In Baltimore and double day here in Minnesota. The sun is beating down through the Mall of America. ceiling here. We need D&L window tinting. 911 out there for Jason and Athena. Tell them to put the shades on the sun up here. It's all brought to you by Howard Bank as well as Rofo and our friends at Royal Farms. Real fresh, real fast, and tasty. This guy hails from the city of brotherly love where they grease poles with Crisco in waiting for championships. We welcome one of our defending champions from NFL Films and the Vault at Monster Monday and my original relationship with Brian Baldinger. Greg Cosell is back here to break this one down. Eagles are going to win, right? I mean, you better predict an Eagles victory. You won't be able to go home, Greg. Come on.
Of course I'm predicting an Eagles victory, Nestor. Of course. Come on.
Well, you grew up Eagles, right? I mean, that's...
Well, I didn't grow up there, but I've been... I just finished my 38th season in NFL Films, so...
What would it mean? Put that part. We'll get to we'll get into the perspective of the game and how they can win. You'll break it down for us. But as a citizen, as a resident, as one of the people I like from Philadelphia, who has not yelled anything nasty at my wife at games or all the other stuff that I've dealt with all those years, you're one of the sane Philadelphia fans. It would be nice. It would make you die easier if they could win, right?
I think Philadelphia fans would probably not like you very much now for the way you just portrayed them. They would view
That's
themselves.
Because I've seen them.
They would view themselves as intelligent and passionate and caring. You don't see it that way, Nestor?
No, I do not see it that way because I was an Eagles season ticket holder from 1986 to 1992, and I make visits.
So you were one of those people who were screaming?
Getting screamed at.
No,
I was never an Eagles. I was an Oiler fan. You know that. I was a Warren Moon guy. This team's capable, though, right? I mean, they can win this on Sunday. They're not in over their head maybe the way Donovan's team was back in the day.
They are not in over their heads at all. In fact, you can make the easy argument that if you look at the entire roster of both teams, that the Eagles have a better roster.
Deep depth.
Yeah, the Eagles are a very good team.
But the Patriots probably have the better quarterback. But we have to prove that.
Well, that's fair. I mean, I think that no matter what you say, look, you know how these things work. For many people, the narrative's already written in a lot of these games.
Sure.
No matter what you say when you try to break down the X's and O's and kind of dive deep into the weeds a little bit, which is what I do for a living, but I think then you'll hear people say, well, it's the Belichick-Brady factor. And because they're in their 8th Super Bowl in 16 years, there's no response to that. There's no argument. You can't, it's not a quantifiable thing in some ways, but, yeah, they're in their 8th Super Bowl in 16 years. That is quantifiable. So there's no ready response to that. But if you are analyzing this game as a separate entity, as an isolated Super Bowl, I think the Eagles have a very legitimate chance to win this game.
Well, there's a whole different thing at play here for him than there was for Manning at the end as a Bronco, where he couldn't do the same things he always did.
Correct.
Brady is still – is there any diminishment that you see at him at all? Not a weakness, but something that doesn't look the same to you at 40, 41 as it did at 30 or 31?
I would say that, and this might be odd because he did lead the league in passing yards. He did lead the league in yards per attempt. Their offense was a little different this year, getting the ball down the field. I thought, though, there were times where I felt that Brady was not overall as accurate as we've seen him. And I'm nitpicking now, obviously. I think he was under more pressure this year. Some of that a function of the fact that they did have a deeper passing game, more vertical balls. I think their O-line had some issues at times in pass protection. So he was sacked more. I think he was under pressure more. I think he was forced to move around more. And at times he showed great pocket movement. But it was a little different looking pass game than we're used to seeing.
I'm going to let you and Luke nerd it up because Luke loves you. You're Luke's favorite guest. So let Luke
I wanted to ask about the other quarterback here. I mean, anyone who watched the Philadelphia Eagles in the first few weeks after Carson Wentz went down, it was not pretty offensively. How impressed, you being the X's and O's junkie that you are, how impressed have you been with what Doug Peterson and that coaching staff has been able to do with Nick Foles from mid-December until now?
Well, he had the real good game in his first start against the Giants, and then he struggled. The thing about the NFC Championship game that you have to be careful about is that was a little bit of an outlier game for Nick.
Right.
Not in the fact that he played well, but the manner in which he played.
Sure.
The things he did in that game, which do not really are not hallmarks of his career, let's put it that way, was he made plays what we call late in the down in the pocket. In other words, 3-4 seconds, 5 seconds, moving around and navigating the pocket and then making throws. He did that. The other thing he did in the NFC Championship game was make plays outside of structure, where he got out of the pocket and threw the football effectively. Those are things that do not really define his career. In fact, you could argue those were weaknesses in his career. The feeling always with Nick, and the tape bore it out, was the longer he was in the pocket, the less efficient he was, and the worse he got. And he certainly was not an outside of structure playmaker. So the NFC Championship game was a bit out of character for him.
Schwartz's defense and getting this thing going after Brady here. If you're the DC on Sunday, some thoughts about what you do. I asked Schwartz about this. I think the way that they were multiple and trying to get guys on and off the field, Brady sort of lives on that once or twice a game to catch them, though, right? I mean, they'll get a free first down somewhere along the line if they're not careful.
Well, I think, it'll be more than that. I think because the Eagles' defense is built on that rotational front four where they play 7 or 8 players, I think you'll see a lot of no-huddle tempo. And again, when I say that, that doesn't mean they're going to snap the ball right away, but the point is they'll get to the line of scrimmage, and if they don't substitute, then the Eagles can't substitute. So I think they're going to look at it as we want that D-line, whether it's Fletcher Cox, whether it's Brandon Graham, whoever it may be, to play more snaps than they're accustomed to playing. So I think for sure you're going to see no-huddle tempo in this game by the Patriots.
Yeah, I think I saw a statistic the other day. Their top 7 defensive linemen all play somewhere between 40 to 70% of snaps, and that's very rare. One, that you have that many guys playing that many, but also your top guys, even your absolute best, aren't playing 80, 85%, which can happen sometimes and usually is not ideal.
I mean, what you want is I forget the term. I was just talking to former offensive lineman Nick Hardwick, who does work, radio work in San Diego, and he used a great term about anaerobic something. I wish I could remember it because we were talking about this.
Sure.
And he said absolutely they'll do that because that's what it'll cause. And I wish I could remember the term. It was so great. But, the point is you want those guys to start to get a little tired. When D linemen get tired, they don't rush the quarterback as well. And that's what you're hoping to prevent in this game, because I think when you look at that matchup, Eagles D-line, Patriots O-line, if you're just looking at it as an isolated matchup, the Eagles D-line absolutely has the advantage.
Anything you want to say, Greg Cosell, about the Ravens and the Joe Flacco offense and where it was at the end versus the beginning? I think we all realize the defense is good enough in a 4th and 12 play and went through a lot of injuries and all that, but we're all trying to assess where Joe is and where the weapons are.
We ask him this every year, by the way.
Yeah,
it's becoming the annual.
You asked me if I have anything to say? No.
Sure, you don't.
No.
Nothing new? Nothing new?
I have nothing to say. You've probably said it all.
Well, it's probably not going to be any different because they haven't changed anything about Morningwig, and I guess it would be different in that you can bring in better players.
The only thing I guess you could say is, and you'll know this better than I, but didn't they go through over the last 3, 4, 5 years a whole bunch of different coordinators?
Well, beginning with Cameron and then going to Caldwell, and then was Marty was next, yes?
Was Caldwell, Kubiak.
Yeah.
No, Tressman.
Yes.
And then Marty
God,
Morningwig.
I forgot about Tressman.
Yeah.
Now I can forget about
Yeah,
Tressman.
going back to the Super Bowl year, since then it's been, 5 or 6 different guys?
I mean, they've had a lot of different coordinators. That never helps a quarterback. The one thing I don't know is if Joe was hurt a little bit this year. I mean, he had the back injury.
I think we all believe he was. I think that's a fair assessment the first month of the season, for sure. To get to your point about their offense, I mean, obviously it's all been said that they didn't really throw the ball down the field very much. Is that due to Marty Morningwig? Is that due to Flacco? I don't know the answer to that question. But it wasn't good, whatever it was.
But in today's NFL, at some point you're going to have to do that. So I don't know, with Marty coming back and maybe some more continuity, we'll see. Obviously, Perriman looks like he's now a bust. I mean, was this his 3rd year?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
So, I mean, after 3 years, you pretty much have to say that he's not going to be a number 1 receiver. I mean, can he be productive? I can't answer that, but he's certainly not what they hoped he would become, and he's really not been productive at all. Wasn't he a healthy scratch toward the end of the season?
Yes,
many times.
Multiple times.
Yes.
So, I mean, that tells you all you need to know.
How big of a fan are you of what Greg Roman does with the running game? I mean, if there was a saving grace for this offense.
Run game, and I really like Collins. I liked him coming out of Arkansas. Mm-hmm. Backs are really interesting when people evaluate them. Unless a back is viewed as special, truly special, then backs who are good backs and who can clearly play in the NFL don't get drafted high. And then people associate their draft position with the fact, he's just a 4th-round pick, or
Sure.
But that's the way backs are looked at unless they're truly special. I mean, look, Kareem Hunt led the league in rushing this year. Who's a 3rd-round pick? and he's a good back. And now all of a sudden people go, oh, he's pretty good. Well, yeah, he was pretty good coming out of Toledo. You just didn't put him in the category of Ezekiel Elliott. And Alex Collins was a tough runner in the SEC. He's about 215 pounds. He had 3 1,000-yard seasons. He's a tough inside runner, and I always liked the back. But, then who drafted him? Because he was somewhere else.
He was with Seattle. They could have used him this year.
Well, apparently they didn't think that.
Calling, Monday Night Football from Bloomington, Minnesota, and the Met Stadium. This was, we're on the 30-yard line right now of literally Met Stadium. We call it the Mall of America.
That's right.
Sort of
this is the old stadium.
This is where Tarkenton, the Purple People Eaters, Harmon Killebrew's home runs up on the wall and the seat up there. So, a lot of memories here for the Cosell family, correct? If I say so.
Well, I assume, not for me personally.
You know what a fan of Howard I was. Oh, come on. You got that irascible thing.
I was never at the stadium that was here. In the 70s, I was in college.
I never goob you up about Uncle Howard. I never,
No, you don't.
Do you have anything, knowing that I am one of the largest Howard Cosell fans ever? Like all the books, all of that.
You read them all?
I own them all.
Good for you.
I own them all. I can recount some stories about the jockocracy in the background.
I was in the first book when he was talking about what the nature of a college sports should be about. Because I went to Amherst College, Division III, where
you were a kid then.
Where they don't.
Yeah, when he was writing the book. Okay.
Yeah, where they don't give athletic scholarships. So I played sports there, but obviously was there for the academics.
I've been on scholarship for 27 years now.
And you were not there for the academics?
No, I was there for the party.
There you go.
That about that. Greg Cosell joining us live here. Go check him out on Twitter. He's a great follow, great friend for a couple of decades now, and one of our defending champions around here. I'll bug you at some point. We'll talk some offense and defense.
All right, sounds good.
Always love his breakdowns. Greg Cosell joining us here. We are at Minnesota at the Mall of America, the former Met Stadium. All of our coverage here brought to you by our friends at Howard Bank, as well as Royal Farms, Real Fresh, Real Fast, and the Maryland Jockey Club, where they are racing at Laurel this weekend. Luke is here. I am here. We're on Radio Row. Our continuing Super Bowl coverage, we are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports